Peace is not something we stumble upon. It's something we choose to reclaim. Life has a way of pulling us in 1,000 directions, convincing us that we have to be everything to everyone. But here's the truth. Peace begins when you decide to stop performing and start living from a place of authenticity. When we think about peace, we often imagine a state of calm where nothing bothers us, a serene moment where everything feels just right. But real peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from the inside. And the journey to that inner peace begins with vulnerability. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. We've been taught that it's weakness, something to hide or avoid. It's the trembling in your voice when you're afraid, the tears you fight back, or the moments when you feel exposed. Society tells us to toughen up, to push through, to wear masks that make us seem untouchable. But in doing so, we push peace further away, because the truth is, vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. It's showing up fully even when the outcome is uncertain. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we strip away the pretenses and armor that keep us disconnected from others and from ourselves. Peace cannot thrive in a space where we're constantly pretending or trying to control everything. Vulnerability creates space for authenticity, and authenticity is where peace is born. Think about the weight we carry when we bottle up our feelings or hide parts of ourselves to fit into someone else's idea of who we should be. We carry shame, fear, and the burden of perfection. We become so busy managing the image we project that we lose sight of what we truly need. Vulnerability invites us to release that weight. It asks us to be brave enough to say, "This is how I feel. This is what I need. This is who I am." Reclaiming peace through vulnerability doesn't mean baring your soul to everyone you meet. It's about choosing safe spaces and trustworthy people where you can be honest and open. It's also about being vulnerable with yourself, acknowledging your emotions, your struggles, and your humanity. Sometimes the hardest person to be honest with is the one staring back at you in the mirror. Here's the paradox. The more you allow yourself to be vulnerable, the stronger you become. When you name your fears, they lose their power over you. When you express your needs, you begin to build relationships rooted in trust and respect. And when you accept that it's okay to not have it all together, you create room for growth, healing, and peace. Vulnerability is also the gateway to connection. Peace is not something we create in isolation. We are wired for connection, and that connection deepens when we're willing to let others see us as we are. Have you ever shared a struggle with someone and felt an instant bond? That's the power of vulnerability. It reminds us we're not alone. So if you're looking to reclaim your peace, start with vulnerability. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is a small price to pay for the freedom it brings. Allow yourself to be seen, to feel, and to let go of the masks that no longer serve you. In doing so, you'll discover that vulnerability is not just a step toward peace, it's the foundation of it. Courage often feels like a big, grand concept. We imagine it as the ability to charge into battle, take massive risks, or stand unshaken in the face of adversity. But more often than not, courage is quieter, softer, and deeply personal. It's found in the small but powerful act of showing up as your authentic self, especially when it's difficult. We live in a world that constantly encourages us to wear masks. Social media, workplace dynamics, cultural expectations, Everywhere we turn, there's pressure to present a version of ourselves that feels polished and acceptable. Yet the more we try to fit into molds, the more disconnected we become from our true selves. And this disconnection is a thief of peace, joy, and fulfillment. Authenticity is the antidote. It's the choice to show up as you are without pretense or performance. But let's be honest, authenticity isn't always easy. It takes courage to let others see the real you, especially when you fear judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. It takes courage to speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. And it takes courage to say, "This is who I am," when doing so might disrupt the status quo. Courage doesn't mean you won't feel fear. In fact, fear is often a sign that you're on the edge of something important. Courage is feeling that fear and choosing to move forward anyway. It's acknowledging the vulnerability that comes with being authentic and stepping into it, rather than shrinking away. What makes authenticity so powerful is that it's a declaration of worthiness. When you show up as your true self, you're saying, "I am enough just as I am." This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have all the answers. Authenticity isn't about being flawless, it's about being real. It's about owning your story, the messy parts, the triumphs, and everything in between. But here's the thing, authenticity can be contagious. When you have the courage to show up as yourself, you create space for others to do the same. It's like a ripple effect. Your courage becomes an invitation for others to step out of their shells, to drop their masks, and to connect in a deeper, more meaningful way. And this kind of connection is where we find true belonging, not in fitting in, but in being fully seen and accepted. Showing up authentically also strengthens your inner resilience. The more you practice being yourself, the less power external validation holds over you. You begin to trust yourself more, to listen to your own intuition, and to align your life with your values. And while authenticity doesn't guarantee an easy path, it does guarantee a fulfilling one. So, when the world feels heavy and it seems easier to retreat behind a facade, remember this. True courage isn't about being fearless, it's about being real. Show up authentically, even when it's hard. The reward is a life lived fully and freely, a life where peace and purpose thrive. Boundaries are an essential part of reclaiming your peace, yet they can feel intimidating to establish and maintain. For many of us, the word boundary conjures up images of conflict, rejection, or disappointment. We worry that saying no will upset others or strain relationships. But the truth is, boundaries are not barriers meant to push people away. They are bridges to healthier connections, self-respect, and a more peaceful life. At its core, a boundary is a statement of your needs, values, and limits. It's a way of saying, this is what I can give, and this is what I need in return. Boundaries protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Without them, you risk becoming overextended, resentful, and disconnected from yourself. When you set boundaries, you're not only safeguarding your peace, you're also honoring your worth. Here's the thing, peace doesn't exist where resentment thrives. And resentment often builds when we say yes to things that don't align with our capacity or values. Maybe it's staying late at work when you're already exhausted, or constantly saying yes to social events when you need rest. Every time you ignore your limits to meet someone else's expectations, you're chipping away at your own sense of peace. Boundaries are your way of reclaiming that peace. Honoring your worth through boundaries starts with self-awareness. You need to understand what truly matters to you and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. Ask yourself, what drains my energy? What replenishes it? Who and what bring me joy, and who or what leave me feeling depleted? This clarity allows you to set boundaries that are rooted in self-respect rather than fear or obligation. Of course, setting boundaries isn't always easy. It requires courage, especially when you're breaking old patterns or standing up to people who may not respect your limits. It might mean having uncomfortable conversations, saying no more often, or even walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. But remember this, every time you set a boundary, you're reinforcing the message that your needs matter. Healthy boundaries also strengthen relationships. While it might feel counterintuitive, people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries because they care about your well-being. When you communicate your limits clearly and kindly, you're creating space for mutual respect and understanding. On the other hand, if someone reacts negatively to your boundaries, it's a reflection of their discomfort, not your worth. Boundaries are not just about saying no. They're also about saying yes to the things that align with your values and bring you joy. They're about creating a life that reflects who you truly are, not what others expect you to be. So don't be afraid to set boundaries. Let them be a declaration of your commitment to yourself, your peace, and your well-being. Because the moment you start honoring your worth, you'll find that peace isn't something you have to chase. It's something that naturally follows. One of the most persistent myths about peace is that it's synonymous with perfection. Many of us imagine peace as a perfectly tidy life, no mistakes, no conflicts, and no loose ends. But this illusion of perfection can become a trap, keeping us in a cycle of striving, performing, and exhausting ourselves. True peace is not about having everything in order. It's about embracing the freedom to live authentically, messily, and wholeheartedly. Perfectionism often disguises itself as the pursuit of excellence. It whispers that if we just work harder, achieve more, or appear flawless, we'll finally feel at ease. But perfectionism is a relentless and unforgiving taskmaster. It sets impossible standards and punishes us for being human. It convinces us that peace is always just out of reach, contingent on fixing one more thing or achieving one more milestone. The irony is that chasing perfection actually robs us of peace. When we're constantly striving to prove our worth, we're never fully present. We become consumed by the fear of failure, the weight of comparison, and the need for external validation. But peace doesn't come from outside approval, it comes from within. It's about learning to quiet the voice that says you're not enough and replacing it with one that says you are worthy as you are. Living wholeheartedly means embracing imperfection as part of the human experience. It's about giving yourself permission to be real, to make mistakes, and to learn along the way. When you let go of the need to control every outcome or have every detail figured out, you create space for joy, connection, and growth. Peace is not found in a flawless life. It's found in a life that's fully lived. Wholehearted living also requires self-compassion. When we're kind to ourselves in moments of struggle or failure, we build resilience and inner calm. Instead of berating ourselves for falling short, we can choose to see those moments as opportunities to grow. This shift in perspective frees us from the grip of perfectionism and allows us to approach life with more grace and ease. Another key to wholehearted living is embracing the present moment. So often we get caught up in the what ifs and if onlys of life, regretting the past or worrying about the future. But peace exists only in the here and now. It's found in savoring the small joys, in being fully present with the people we love, and in appreciating the beauty of the imperfect world around us. Finally, living wholeheartedly means aligning your life with your values. When your actions reflect who you truly are and what matters most to you, you'll find a sense of peace that no external achievement can replicate. It's about prioritizing connection over competition, meaning over materialism, and authenticity over. Remember, peace is not something you earn by being perfect. It's a state of mind you cultivate by being fully yourself. Let go of the need to prove, to perfect, and to please. Instead, embrace the freedom to live wholeheartedly, and you'll discover that peace was within you all along. In the journey to reclaim your peace, remember that it's not about fixing every flaw, meeting every expectation, or controlling every outcome. Peace isn't something you achieve by doing more. It's something you cultivate by being more present, more authentic, and more compassionate with yourself. Vulnerability, courage, boundaries, and wholehearted living are the keys to unlocking a life of true peace. They remind us that peace is not about perfection or performance. It's about embracing our humanity, honoring our worth, and living in alignment with our values. Let go of the illusions that weigh you down and step into the freedom of being unapologetically you. Reclaim your peace, not because you've earned it, but because it's your birthright. When you choose to live with intention, grace, and authenticity, you'll find that peace is not a destination, but a way of being, a quiet strength that carries you through every season of life. This is your time. Show up, let go, and reclaim the peace that's always been yours.